Welcome back. You're watching the ET Money Show, and it is time for our Fitness Fridays segment. Let me introduce my guest. We've got Namita Piparaiya, who's joining in, and she's a regular on the program. Namita, thanks so much for taking the time. We're discussing meditation today, and well, it's been said that meditation can have absolutely wondrous effects in your life. In terms of your ability to breathe better, in terms of your ability to think better. How would you describe getting started with the basics?
Thanks, Alex. And that's a very important question because often people struggle how to begin with meditation. Well, if you are somebody who's comfortable with sitting by your thoughts, then the best way to begin meditation is by focusing on the breath. So all that means is you take a comfortable position and start becoming aware of the process of breathing in and breathing out. Now, why that is important is because when you meditate, you need an object of meditation, something to focus on, something you can direct your attention towards away from everything else that may be distracting or irrelevant. So that's the simple process. Focusing on the breath is a very direct and simple way to begin your practice.
Okay. Can you take us through some of the initial forms that you would suggest, or some of the initial meditation techniques that you would suggest for someone like me who would pick it up perhaps over the weekend?
If someone who's never done meditation, doing something like breath awareness might be challenging, or you might be confused about what exactly to do. In that case, there are a lot of preliminary or preparatory meditation techniques which are very helpful. Like there is yoga nidra, there's something called body scan, there is progressive muscle relaxation, and these are all guided practices. So it's a lot easier for someone who doesn't know what to do when you suddenly start to begin your practice. In fact, if you've heard lately, Sundar Pichai mentioned that he practices something called NSDR because while he values meditation, he struggles with actually practicing it. And all NSDR is non-sleep deep rest, is just a term for something you do before meditation. And it includes techniques like yoga nidra, which is yogic sleep, or a guided visualization practice, which is also something we traditionally do in yoga. So these are preliminary meditative practices. That's where you begin if you just want to explore. And once you are comfortable with the process, then you can come into meditation like breath awareness, or any other object of meditation can also be used other than breath, like your like a mantra, an object that you particularly have affinity for, which could be a deity, a god that you believe in, and many other things. So that's the process broadly that you would follow.
You know, you mention a mantra or you mention focusing on an object. I think this is something that is absolutely crucial, right, Namita? Because we're living in a life which is dominated by notifications. So, what advice would you give to somebody who's starting out in terms of the room that they should be in? Possibly some music that you would suggest, possibly with a mantra that you can suggest. How do you get started?
Yes, there are a lot of distractions. And number one thing I would like to tell beginners is to not give up and to not get frustrated. Often the expectation is that I've chosen a mantra and I'm sitting, but within seconds, my thoughts are running all over the place. That doesn't mean you're bad at meditation. That just means you need to practice more. So just like a muscle, the more you practice, the brain will also develop the ability to stay focused on the thought or the mantra that you have chosen. And in terms of mantra, the yogic tradition gives you a lot of flexibility. You can choose anything that intuitively or inherently appeals to you the most. Om is one such mantra. There is Soham or Hong Sao is another mantra. People also use some Vedic terms like Aham Brahmasmi. So it is up to you. But the important thing is once you've chosen a mantra, stick with it, because it's easier to progress in meditation when you're repeating the same sound or the same concept to yourself.
Is there a perfect time for meditation? And what about your diet? Do you have to bear in mind that you shouldn't eat before? Or is there something that you should ideally consume before you start meditating?
Ideally, for meditation, morning is the best time. And if you wake up early enough in the morning, you don't even need to eat anything. So, on an empty stomach in Ayurveda, that's called the Vata dosha hour, which is before sunrise. That's considered the best time because your mind is less distracted. It'll be easier to focus. However, you can practice meditation anytime because these are difficult times, these are busy times. So, whenever you can make time for it, but just know that during the day or after, in the middle of a very hectic schedule, you might find it a little more challenging to focus, which is when other techniques like body scans and breath awareness can be more helpful. So it depends on your type of meditation. Ideally, early morning, empty stomach before sunrise is considered the perfect time.
You know, Namita, my goal in life is going to be able to sit like you're sitting and meditate for about 10 minutes. I will have achieved what I set out to do. If that
I am
is
sure you will get there, Alex.
Thank you so much for taking the
difficult.
time. Thank you so much. I hope so.
Thank you, Alex.
I hope so. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time. And that brings us to the end of this edition of the Eating Money Show. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing it to you.